day the tonguing is done, take our leave and go. At a fair in the sun of town, her hair was blonde and her dress was brown. She made a wellerman come around. Well, I'm out here with the 16-foot Pelican punt. Just wrapped up a little sand sliding session this morning. Try to get all my skimboarding done early in the morning when it's nice and cool, because it'll get your heart going. If you would like to see some of my skim footage, be sure to check out the Skid Files, which is my summer side project, a little mini series that has its own playlist here on the Cumberland Rover channel. But now that it's getting to be around noon, I'm about to take the Pelican punt and just head down the bank out to the main Tennessee River channel and the big part of Kentucky Lake. Just do a little sightseeing and see what kind of adventure we can find today. The lake is glass right now. It's a flat calm, and that's a good time to cover some distance with the paddle. Coming up on some big exposed rock right here. That is pretty cool. Something I've noticed about Kentucky Lake and Lake Barkley, whenever you get nearer the river channel, so the now submerged riverbed of the Tennessee River in this case on Kentucky Lake, over on that side the banks tend to be a lot higher and steeper, and you're more likely to see things like these big sort of cliffs right here, these big rocks, and this sharp rise in terrain. Whereas once the further away you get on the opposite side of the river, the terrain tends to be a little more mellow and gradually rises up. This is a nice view of the lake here. Kentucky Lake is the biggest water anywhere around here, within miles of, I guess the Great Lakes would probably be the next biggest. And that's quite a distance to the north. Some people have tried to call Kentucky Lake the South's Great Lake. I don't know about that. Sounds a little cheesy to me, but okay. I see what they're getting at there. But this is actually a really popular sailing lake for some pretty big boats, actually. You can get some big boats out here if you want to. Probably the average, though, is 30 to 40 foot, I would say. Some people would consider that a pocket cruiser, just depending on where you're coming from in sailing. Really don't see a whole lot of dinghies. Sometimes you get some Hobie cats and that type of thing. Saw a Hobie trimaran last summer. But I've had fun sailing out here in my 16-foot O'Day Osprey vintage fiberglass day sailor. Had a lot of fun in that boat. You do have to be careful though, because this is big enough water that you can run into some fairly nasty conditions, especially if you're not expecting it and you think it's just a lake. Well, it can get dangerous out here. You probably can't see it, but against the tree line there, I actually see a set of sails over on the western bank, and it actually looks like a ketch. I see a mizzen sail, which is just a small sail at the stern of the boat. Got a hog rig passing by. Bass boat, probably with 2, 3, 400 horsepower. Gotta watch out for them. That's why I try to stay near the edges. Stay near the hard bits, actually. That's probably the biggest hazard out here in a little boat like this, is someone in a big power boat not seeing you, and it happens all the time. That was the main reason I flew that big red pennant from the stern of this Pelican punt on my big 5-day trip, because I was out there paddling near the main river channel, and I just wanted to make sure people could see me, because a boat like this is low, and in a way this color really isn't the best because it doesn't stand out all that much from the water. Well, I think I've probably paddled a mile now, and I really didn't mean to. That happens sometimes though. You can get carried away wanting to see around the next bend. I think I'm gonna check out the bank, beach it, and check out the banks. This is the kind of area that can sort of get away from me. You know, I tend to focus on bays, big bays and coves, but the space in between along the banks, that can be overlooked very easily, and especially on Kentucky Lake, it can be kind of tough to get out here in between the bays, because this is usually where it's the roughest water right along the big lake. But it's calm today, that's for sure. Gonna stop over here, beach the boat, and just have a look around. I see a wild turkey, actually, right there on the banks. I actually managed to get pretty close to the turkey. It was a hen, just by drifting and sitting real still, just drifting up to the bank. I probably got 20 yards away, something like that. You can definitely see some wildlife that way, just drifting up close to the banks and sitting still. One of the great things about paddle craft and rowing craft. These little rope handles would be hard to live without. You'll notice I have 2 of them on the 12-foot P-row, one at the bow and one at the stern. It's just a rope ran through a big hole right there that I drilled with a spade bit, and that is through the outer stem. It just makes it a lot easier to handle the boat when you're wading out to launch, or dragging it up the bank to beach, or loading it on a trailer or in a truck bed. Just gives you something to grab onto. He strikes out alone, boldly, into the western Kentucky jungle. Man, sometimes it is a jungle in these woods. There's actually something unexpected back here, or at least I wasn't expecting it. I could tell by the slope of the bank as I drifted into shore there might be a pond back here, but I was not expecting this big of a pond. This is pretty substantial. What happens a lot of times is these will form just outside of the lake, and it'll actually share water with the lake when the lake's flooded. Then when the water comes down, it's isolated. There goes a blue heron flying away and squawking. Yeah, this is a pretty big one though. Sometimes there can be some big fish that get in here from the lake. Well, the sun is reaching its peak and the day is heating up, and I've got chiggers, so I think it's about time for me to head in. Actually, I think I managed to wash off all the chiggers, or at least all the ones I can see. I was walking through that brush to show you the pond, and I looked down and my leg was just covered in little dots, and I've had them many times. It's not enjoyable, but an idea occurred to me, so I scooped up some pond mud and just stuck it all over my leg, in my mind, to smother / entrap the chiggers. I think it worked. So then I came out to the lake and just washed and scrubbed with sand, and I don't see any now, so I think I'm all right. But I will let you know how it goes with that technique, if that's something you may want to replicate if you find yourself in a similar situation. So that's about it for Cumberland Rover. Boat plans are linked in the description for the Pelican Punt 16 and the Solo P-Row. Check out the build videos, check out the adventure videos, as well as my summer side project. You knew it was coming, the skid files. Check out the skid files. It's good entertainment. Even if you don't think you care about skimboarding, you might just get a kick out of it. I leave the falls in there. I know people that don't ride skimboards like to see the falls, so I make sure to leave the good ones in. All right, thank you very much for watching.